All right. Welcome back, everybody. It is, well, we got one person watching. The one person.
It's
Nope, not
me. The
three.
only person's
There's
me.
three. There's three. Uh,
Oh, Bill's here. Yes.
Hi, Bill.
We have an audience.
We got an audience.
One.
It is Wednesday, 7 o'clock. We're back from a small break, and then we're going on break again. So
A lot of breaks. It's
but
summertime.
we decided to do this was a request by Alex, one of her favorite IPs. Welcome back, Alex.
Oh, there's
So
timestamps.
we were doing 1987's Predator, which of course launched the Predators franchise, and then eventually the AVP franchise, which is kind of its own separate from Alien. So
Predator became quite the franchise.
Yes,
there's all kinds of stuff.
So anyway, before we get into that, I think you have news.
I have news. I always have news. Guys, the Star Trek fans everywhere, we are mourning the loss of Patty Yasutake. She died at age 70 after a long battle with cancer. We know her best as Nurse Ogawa, Alyssa Ogawa. She worked with Dr. Beverly Crusher in the sick bay on Next Gen. Last week when we were off, I dropped a couple trailers for you guys, and I have more trailers for you. I have 4 more trailers. I will tell you what they all are, and then I will drop them in the chat in just a few minutes here. Number 1, Dune Prophecy. Dune coming to Max in November. Dune now has a TV show. It's called Dune Prophecy. It's set 10,000 years before Paul Atreides. I think it's going to be the rise of the Bene Gesserit. I can't decide if I'm interested in that or not. I think the answer is not, but I'll drop the link. You guys can check it out. Number 2, Penguin, the Penguin. Academy Award nominee Colin Farrell is going to play the Penguin in a new HBO original limited series premiering September 19 on Max. I will drop that link so you can check it out. Number 3, Umbrella Academy Season 4 premieres tomorrow. Woohoo! I can't wait. But if you want to see a sneak peek of the first 6 minutes tonight or today, I got a link for you. And finally, okay, guys, I might have to check this out. Okay. And Rizzo, you might have heard of this while you were in Vegas. Star Trek Fleet Command. Star Trek Fleet Command is a game, and it is introducing a new story arc with a crossover with Galaxy Quest. It looks really cool. I will drop a link to that. I might have to start playing just
Galaxy Quest was well represented.
Yes, we were. Scott Grimes was there. Yeah, I know.
Missy Plyle was there. There's like none of the major, they're all the kind of the more of the minor actors.
You remember Rizzo the year I went with you? There was that couple, and they cosplay as.
There was a group. There is a whole group, almost like Rebel Legion 501st, that just.
There's a bunch of Thermian.
Yeah, there's a whole group that does Galaxy Quest, and they were doing the thing all over the place. So yeah, and then of course they had. I sent you the picture. They had like the little diorama of the back of the shuttle with the little creatures crawling on it and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool.
So that was like full size diorama.
So anyway, the game has a crossover. I might have to check it out just to see that because I love. Moving on. At San Diego, okay, I want you guys' opinion on this. At San Diego Comic-Con, which was not last weekend, but the weekend before, there came a huge announcement that Robert Downey Jr. would be returning to the MCU, but not as Tony Stark. Downey Jr. would be back as Dr. Doom. Now, actors having multiple parts in franchises is nothing new. Hello, Jeffrey Combs. But for some reason, this one is giving people pause. The man has an Oscar. Why are people kind of whinging about it?
I think here's the thing. I think because Tony Stark and Iron Man was such a huge part of the MCU. In other words, I mean, he's kind of ingrained that face. I mean, to have him show up as another character, if anybody could pull it off, it's Robert Downey Jr. I think because he does do character acting very well. In fact, there was just a recent show on HBO called The Sympathizer, which was about a Vietnam national that was basically playing like he was on the South, on the American side, but he was really working for the communists. And Robert Downey Jr. played like 4 different parts in that show with different makeup.
Really?
I mean, you could tell it was him, but he played like 4 different characters. So he does a very good job. And of course, if you saw Tropic of Thunder, I mean, I like to go into but I mean, he really does. So he's talented in that way. So if anybody can pull it off, I agree. I was like, really? Did you couldn't come up with anybody else to do Doctor Doom?
But
I could have seen like, I don't know, a lot of people.
But I don't
I
know,
don't have
man.
a
Like
problem with it.
this is not new to the MCU, and I'm not going to spoil Deadpool and Wolverine, but someone in the MCU who's played multiple roles is in that movie. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It just depends on the story
It's
arc.
also a difference. It's also a difference of type of character, right? Like it's the fact that Robert Downey Jr. made Iron Man, and Iron Man is what made the MCU as we know it. It's quite a titular role and character and actor. It's not like taking a small side character and then putting him front and center as a completely different one.
Yeah.
So that one's a little bit of a shocker, but I have heard, and I don't want to spoil anybody, and I also don't want to be wrong. I've heard that there's a story spin on this new character that he's taken, and that it does still relate somehow to Tony Stark. So
Yeah, I've heard
I'm
the same.
quite interested to see where that goes.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how this is going to go.
So
I don't
yeah,
know.
we're gonna at this point. I'm like, we'll see what happens. I'm not gonna
We'll
say
see what
this is
happens.
gonna be bad or good.
All right, my last piece of news for the evening. Yeah, my last piece of news for the evening. Orville. Do you guys remember the Orville? It may be getting a season 4. Some exciting news.
Doug Drexler, it is.
Oh, good. Doug says yes.
Doug said
exciting
yes.
news just came out of Star Trek Las Vegas. According to multiple people who attended, the Orville star Scott Grimes was there. I don't know if you saw him, Rizzo, and he shared during a performance that the 4th season of the Orville will begin filming in January. So I don't know when it'll air. It won't air until way down the road, but at least they're going to film. Rizzo, you were just there. Can you give us the Las Vegas report?
Well, I mean, it's always a good time. I mean, if you want to see Star Trek actors, this is the place
in all their glory.
Just about all of them you can think of. Bill Shatner was there one day. He was the only one of the so George wasn't there, or Walter, of the main cast. There was a bunch of Barbara was there, and the bunch of the other
Sandy was there.
Sandy Rimmel was there. Yep. And so yeah, but I mean, a lot of next gen, all the next gen crew was there, all of the Discovery crew. Two of our I got to meet Tawny Newsome finally from Lower Decks, and Eugene Rutherford. I got to meet him. Yep. So they were great.
Jack Quaid Boimler wasn't there.
Did not. I would believe me. I would have definitely got.
I would have been like, oh my god, the boys.
So I purposely got this photo signed by Tawny in case I ever get to meet Brad Boimler there, and I could put him next to it. I told her, I said, actually, I can have both.
We need one with Jack Quaid and Carl Urban, because we can get like a boys one, because Carl
that would be a good one. Yeah.
There's 2 Star Trek alum right there.
Right,
too.
And I talked to Tawny a little bit about the boys, and she was really nice, and luckily there wasn't a huge line for her either. So some highlights is Claudia Christian was there from Babylon 5. That was really excited. I was like so excited to see that one.
Yeah, and I love that they're doing the Galaxy Quest thing. They were doing the Babylon 5 thing. Apparently
keep in mind that it's STLV, because they're not licensed currently by CBS, so they were able to branch away from Star Trek without any conflict.
And you know what? I ain't mad at that.
I did hear a rumor that they did get their license back, so next year might be back to Star Trek again, rather than STLV.
I don't know, man. I kind of like bringing in some of the ancillary extra stuff. I think that's fun.
So I did get to hang out with the Okudas, which is always a great time. They're just the nicest people I've ever just period. I know.
They are the salt of the earth. Yeah,
they are just the nicest people. It's just you're meeting a lot of the actors, and then Trek Sports were there, of course, and so I got to see Darren again, and it was a good time. It was very tiring, as if you've ever been, there's a lot of walking, and the heat. Don't go outside.
And don't go outside.
It's 110.
And we have all seen Deadpool and Wolverine now.
Yes, that was the next thing I was going to say. If you haven't seen it, if anybody hasn't seen it,
run, go.
You have to go see it.
It was so good.
And I recommend seeing it in the theater.
I rarely see things in theater. In fact, I've never seen anything in the theater twice, and I want to go back and see this thing again, because it was that good. There's so much going on, and you're like, oh my god, I feel like I missed a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, and Alien. That's right, Robert. Alien Romulus does drop next Friday. It looks really, really scary.
Yeah.
Like I think they've gone straight horror now. I don't know how I feel about this.
Well, it was always. I mean, Alien was always sci-fi horror. I mean, it was always more
but
horror
it
than it
was
was
like
science
psychological
fiction.
more.
No, the second one was definitely action. Like it had horror elements, but it was definitely sci-fi action.
The original movie, not Aliens. Aliens became more action. Alien, I think, really was more based. Was most people would consider it horror because of the.
Sorry, I thought I heard the
And if Alien, the movie, the original, the one that launched the franchise. Yes, Aliens falls more into action. Absolutely.
Yes.
And then, so honestly, after Aliens, they really, I don't know, there hasn't been a very good.
There hasn't. So it's Bill. It looks like Bill.
I
Robin,
have really high hopes. If anybody's seen the trailer for Romulus, like I have really high hopes for the new installment. It looks so well done. It's obvious it was done by somebody who loves the franchise. I'm so excited.
That'll be fun. See. We shall see. I'm just saying, everyone in the chat has not seen Deadpool and Wolverine yet. You guys, you're missing out.
Oh, okay, well, so we can't talk about it then. But it's full of cameos. It's full of Easter eggs. The story, it's fun. It's Deadpool. It's Deadpool. It's Deadpool.
There's so many cameos. You guys. All right. Rizzo, do we have anything to drink while we try to run and get to the chopper?
Found this one. It's called the 3-Dot Pisco Sour. So it's Pisco, lime juice, simple syrup, an egg, white of an egg.
Oh, Bill, you got your hip replaced.
Huh?
Bill got his hip replaced. Oh my goodness.
Again, you got to get on the book face more because he had pictures of him.
I do. I don't go on the book of faces.
Bill, we hope you're healing well. So anyway, there it is. The instructions are on there, but could be good. I don't know. We'll find out.
It looks good.
It doesn't come with the little red laser beams. It's just the
I like limey things. We could have used that a little bit more. You really only see it on Bill Duke.
There's only a couple times when you see the laser.
I think you see it on Carl Weather too. But...
So anyway, we can get into the movie now that I think we've covered everything.
Can I just say, this is one of those movies, and those of you who are older know, this is back when we used to be able to like flip through channels on TV, this was one of those movies that when you stumbled across it, you watched it. And I'd seen it a million times that way. Like I'd seen it from like blowing up that rebel encampment on. I'd completely forgotten that the very, very beginning of the film, they show him getting dropped off.
Yeah.
Like they show the ship and he gets dropped off. Like going to hunting camp. Okay, we'll see. Have fun. We'll see you in a week. It just
the movie was hugely popular when it came out. I don't know how well it aged, but I mean, it certainly launched. It was, again, very, very typical Schwarzenegger, his one-liners, especially the get to the chopper. Stick around. Yeah.
Honestly, considering that there are films from like the early 2000s, like I know that Billy Madison is a cult favorite and everybody loves a good Adam Sandler film, but I don't find Billy Madison watchable anymore. It's just so offensive. But on the other hand, there are these movies from the 80s that still hold up pretty well. Like, don't get me wrong, there are offensive comments made towards women, but like that, first of all, there's only 3. Second of all, 2 of them fall on deaf ears. And third of all, the one comment that gets the laugh, the 2 characters involved in that scene get killed right after.
Pretty quickly, yeah.
So it's very much that like classic horror element of like, okay, you've sinned on screen. You're out.
Yeah. Alex, I have to admit, on rewatching this, I was kind of stunned at how much the first third of the movie had been hosed down with a fire hose full of testosterone. Like, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
It was like they lined the actors up, took a fire hose of testosterone, and just every day before.
Well, nobody actually from the main group gets killed till like almost 40 minutes into the film.
Yeah, they're running around quite a bit first.
I mean, you get the guys that they find dead. But the actual first soldier in Dutch's group is like 40 minutes in. I always check. How long did it take before they killed somebody?
Yeah.
And it was
the first person that died was Shane Black.
Shane Black.
Yeah, and it's always the guy. It's always the nerdy guy with the glasses.
Yeah, Shane. Shane, you got to take note of because he not only acted in this thing, but he's writing. Like he's been writing on the Predator series going since. So yeah. Anyway.
On the Predator series moving forward, yes.
Yes.
The funny thing is with this movie, he was on Lethal Weapon, and that's where he had got scouted for Predator. And the person that scouted him did so because he knew that Shane had writing accolades. So he wanted an actor that could bring more to the production than filling a role. But the funny thing is that Shane Black is very like to the dotted line. You hired me as an actor. I'm not going to be anything else. He refused to help rewrite on set.
See, I heard he did do some script rewrites.
For the first one?
Yep, for this one.
There's an interview with him where he says that he wouldn't. That's so odd.
An interview where he says he did. Oh, that's funny. This thing, you know what though? This thing cemented my hatred for Jesse. I hate him. I despise Jesse Ventura or George.
I don't blame you. He's not a easy person to like.
Huh?
Is it because of his politics or his acting, or lack thereof?
His politics are interesting. In my teaser on Facebook, I said 2 Republican governors, and I was wrong. He's actually an independent, and he calls himself as fiscally conservative but socially liberal. And he's actually very he was very rah-rah LGBTQ rights and all this good stuff, which is great. But if you watch the interviews with him, oh my God, the ego on this man, real. He's hard to listen
out
to.
As a wrestler, for God's sake.
Yeah. He also lied. He was never a Navy SEAL, guys. He was a frogman. He was not a SEAL. He did underwater detonation, not Navy SEAL.
There is
not cool, man. Not cool. That's stolen valor. Cool. We don't do that, Jesse.
No. Anyway, yeah. So we'll get to the cast in a bit, but I just want to talk more about. So the movie is basically, those that don't know, it's kind of it's the hunters become the hunted, and then vice back and forth, kind of, who's hunting who, because Arnold really sets him up at the end, the predator, so to speak, to get him. So it's like, it kind of goes that back and forth. It's kind of that old trope. But yeah, it does kind of interesting. I was thinking like these aliens come whatever when it's hot, I guess. Maybe they like the heat. I guess they never really explained. Remember, she says, whenever we have a hot summer, this starts to happen. These people start getting colder. So whatever, maybe they actually like the heat, but it always kind of so you have these aliens with a lot of technology, and they're hunting. Now, granted, they weren't necessarily expecting all the guerrilla fighters to be there. So who are they hunting? Just some regular indigenous people to the jungle that probably weren't putting up much of a fight. Well, with your laser cannon targeting systems and infrared and all that stuff, you really didn't give them much of a fighting chance. It's kind of like when we go deer hunting, what I'm saying? It's like, maybe that's the way they looked at it.
But do they eat humans? No,
no, because he took the guy that's the Native American. He took his skull out and his spine all in one piece.
Oh yeah, trophy.
Yeah, which I thought was bullshit. You can't do that. There's no way you can just
that's
rip
that's Sonny Landham. He's interesting. We're going to talk about him when we get to the cast. He also was a gubernatorial candidate for Kentucky. Didn't make it, which is probably for the best. Anyway,
did not
keep
know
moving.
That.
Keep moving.
That's what I love about these movies from the 80s and the early 90s, is that they really don't give you a lot of lore or backstory to go on. Something I was very tickled to see. That's true. Something I really enjoyed seeing in this was that I'm very much a fan of the older, or rather of the newer movies. So going back and watching the first one again, I very much enjoyed that we did get the signature skull and spine rip out, which is now iconic of Predator. It's in almost every Predator film. We get the little bit of history that whenever it's a really hot summer, they come and they hunt and people end up dying. But that's all we really get. Whereas every other Predator movie builds a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more on that lore. You can literally follow it from the first installment to the last. It's so good.
How they operate, how they have really fleshed the Predators out, which is interesting.
Which I'm sure
which
they
is
had no
probably what-
intention when they made the first movie. You know, you said this was kind of hosed down with testosterone, but I mean, this movie was designed to just be straight action movie,
Yeah.
not a
It was.
lot of in depth. That's why there was no exposition as to why they were there, why they were hunting. You just
No
assumed
exposition.
they kind of drop this guy off and he hunts until he's had his
Until
fill or
he's
whatever.
done, yeah.
And then they assume they come
Calls
pick him
for
up and he
pickup or
leaves
whatever,
and he
yeah.
does it again, or somebody else does it again.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these, you know, all those
Well, the
Arnold
thing is-
Schwarzenegger movies of that era were kind of the same. They were just action movies so they could get him the one-liner, you know, explosions, fighting. There's not a lot
Yeah.
in depth to it. I mean, it's great that
Although
it
it was
became
yeah, it was
out later.
yeah, it was a good little ensemble until people started dying. It was a decent little ensemble, and they
Until people started dying.
until people started dying, and then it was just Arnold in his mud.
Yeah.
Although the shot of him in the mud hiding among the roots of that thing, that's a great shot. Like that's a classic shot
That is.
Yeah.
in history.
Now there's a lot of suspension of disbelief if you know anything about how infrared works. So there's
Oh God,
would
yeah.
still
That
show
when
up.
they
I
were
mean-
filming, they were trying to film it with like a thermal graphic, and it wasn't working because you can't when
It doesn't work
humans are
that
98
way.
degrees and it's 90 degrees outside.
Right.
It just doesn't
It
work.
doesn't
You can't
work.
see anything.
That
No, it
wasn't
doesn't
really
work.
working for them.
Well, I
The
always
other
thought
thing
it was
that didn't
also a fail on this, and apparently this is just the way the aliens' biology is. But apparently they can't see regular spectrum light because even when he takes his helmet off, he's still seeing
It's worse.
in the
yeah.
kind of infrared spectrum. So to me, that was pretty much.
We actually don't. We don't ever have that confirmed. That could very well be the armor that he's wearing, the mask that he's
Well,
wearing.
no, he takes it
We-
off at the end.
Yeah,
he
at the end
takes
of the
off
movie when
the
he takes it
armor,
off,
and it's just his
You
eyes.
still
so you
can't
can
see anything. Yeah.
You saw they did a shot where he's taking it off, and it goes from kind of a bluish infrared
To
thing to like a
reddish.
yellowy. So we assume that that's the spectrum that he sees. So that's kind of a fail because all you had to do is have a flare, and you'd blind him
And you'd
constantly,
blind
and
him.
you'd never be able to see anything.
And I think that was a product of the technology of the day. I have to admit, when you were looking through the Predator's eyes, either with or without his helmet,
You couldn't
he
really tell what
could
was
not
going on.
see much. Maybe that was the challenge of the hunt, is that they
And
couldn't.
you know what
see
I was
much.
watching when they were fighting, they kept showing it from his perspective, from the Predator's perspective. And I'm thinking to myself, boy, they're saving a lot on actual fighting because all you're seeing is this blue yellow blob moving around on the screen that you can't really tell. And then they switch to another one, him punching or whatever. So I was like, well, that saves some money by filling that
The
in.
Predator himself,
Well, that's what I was.
Oh, I was just going to say the Predator
Reading
himself.
comments here. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, frozen or not.
The design is genius. Like with the man, and that was James Cameron that suggested the mandibles because
Very
he goes this
Nausicaa.
way.
You notice that? I mean,
Chicken?
Nausicaa from Star Trek.
Nausicaa.
The Nausicaa's has very similar kind of a mouth.
Do they go this way? Yeah, I guess they
It
do.
had kind of like spikes that came out of the sides. It wasn't quite the same.
Yeah. I loved it because he could move them individually, and it
No,
made
it was
him
a great. It was a
expressive.
great alien. with
It
the
was better than
dreadlock
their
things
first
and-
design. If you guys saw their first design, oh boy, that was bad. That was
No,
bad.
you can actually sort of see the first design in the finished film because the shots where the Predator is in its camouflage, where you can still see its shape, but not like any details, you can see the shape of the head of the original design because they had already done the effects for it and it was too expensive to go back and redo it. So when he's in camouflage, take a look at his head. You can see the original like buggy design
like
that they were going to go with before they got Stan Winston on.
yeah.
No,
Yeah,
the,
Stan
the
Winston
makeup
saved
was
it.
great on when we get to the end where you see him without the helmet on, and the eyes.
Yeah,
It was
100%.
great. No, it was very done, extremely well.
And I love how one of the scariest parts of him being the mandibles was literally just James Cameron sitting on a plane like a 12-year-old little boy, like, ooh, what if it had mandibles? That's spooky. And that's literally what we got.
Yeah, because Stan Winston was like, yeah, okay, sure. And he starts drawing.
Yeah, let's throw that in there too. Why not?
But it was good. It was really cool. And the dreads, like the hair, dreads, whatever it was whatever it was, hanging.
I don't know. They call it dreadlocks, but obviously that was like they
call it dreads. I don't really know what it was.
They could have been fleshy things for all we know. I mean, tentacles or something.
So do you want to run through the story? Or do you want to run through the cast? Because this.
Well, I mean, the story's pretty basic. These soldiers get sent to someplace. We assume it's South America somewhere.
Guatemala.
Did they actually say Guatemala?
Fake. No, it's fake. A fake name. It's like Vallarta, not Vallarta, but the V. There's a V name, Valverde or something.
Probably not even a real place, but
no, it's not.
They so they're going to extract somebody. I think I forgot who it was. They're supposed, but it turns out that they were a CIA thing, and it was actually their operative that they're going to extract, and not this local person that they're extracting. And of course, then they find another team, a ranger team that was ahead of them, that the predator had already taken out. And then they start realizing that something's not quite right here in the jungle. And the predator starts picking them off one by one. That's pretty much the story till Arnold takes over.
Until Arnold, yeah.
Till Arnold.
What's great about the story of Predator is that the entire movie literally came off of producers and writers joking on Rocky and going, if you take down your biggest opponent, what else do you have? And somebody out of pocket was like, well, then he's clearly going up to space and fighting space aliens, right? So somebody heard that and was like, oh my God, I'm writing that down. And they found someone who had a story of a team of predators. The original concept of this film was supposed to be a team of predators from space who have this kind of tradition. And that's something that I really enjoyed learning this week. So thank you for asking me to talk about this movie, because without that, I would not have known that. The lore of the Yautja, of the Predator, has always been. It just has never quite made it onto screen until later years. So that's really cool that all the way back then, they knew exactly what they were.
Yeah, they wanted a team, and they wanted to call it Hunter. I'm kind of glad they changed the name. And I'm also kind of glad it wasn't a team. I think it was enough to just have one, because he was not invisible, but he was so well camouflaged that it really lended a really nice creepiness to the movie, to the really nice tension to the movie.
Right.
And also intimacy to that tension, being very one-on-one or one-on like three humans. It's very close.
Yeah.
And plus, as a first installment, having only one makes a lot of sense, because by the time we get to the third installment, we do get the team of predators. We do get more lore and more backstory as to which segment of Predator is which, or which faction of Predator is which. So it's cool that we get to have a deeper dive after we've had some popcorny fun with Arnold and Carl.
Yeah, and Carl, yeah.
I think if they had more than one, they would have had to had them, like, I think that the Arnold's team would have had to at least gotten a couple to make it, you know what I'm saying, to bounce, so it got to the one-on-one maybe at the end. If they had a team of predators up against the team of special forces or whatever they were supposed to be, I think it would have it was better that the one guy was able to just keep picking these guys off.
Yeah, it would have been a lot to keep track of.
It was more scary that way. I love the way he recorded their voices when the guy said anytime, and he just kept anytime. Like he just replay it.
And when Billy's laughing,
laugh at the end, that was kind of good. I like the way he did that. Of course, you assume that he can actually interpret what he's hearing. I don't know if they didn't really say whether he did or not. But,
we don't have any sense that he understands English, but he could imitate it quite well.
Yeah, he could at least, or he was playing back. I got the impression he was recording it and then playing it back through his equipment. I had
the impression that was actually him making that.
It was him. It was too accurate. It was maybe not.
The little voice segments you can hear that are coming from the Predator itself is actually voiced by Peter Cullen, who voices Optimus Prime.
Optimus Prime. I kind of wish for Billy, because Billy stands there and stares, and I think, he's like the tracker in the group, and but we don't see his death, and half of me is like, yeah, okay. And the other half's like, no, you know what? He really was aware of this thing. He's the one who says we're all going to die.
Right.
I think we should have seen his death. I don't know. What do you think?
We kind of did. I mean,
no,
he just died.
He cuts himself, and then you cut to Arnold and the girl running.
Screaming. Yeah, you're right. We don't really see him die.
We don't see him die. And
Yeah, I mean, he was
the one
clearly
guy who was like,
he had some kind of tracking special. You know, he was the one that was more sensitive to the jungle and what was going on around him. So they
he
kind
knew
of
he was like, there's something out there.
yeah, he
And
knew
he
there
knew
was
that.
I
animals
enjoy
there, and that was some
I
knife.
enjoy that we don't see. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that knife that he pulls out is practically a sword.
Oh yeah, the one that he
I
goes like
think
this.
it's like somewhere between a Bowie knife and a machete. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
I sort of enjoy, at least for, I guess, the art of film, to be as pretentious as possible as I can be. I enjoy that we don't see Billy's death and that we don't get confirmation that the woman survived either, because it kind of puts you more into Dutch's perspective, not knowing whether or not all of his men are gone or not knowing if the one captive he had was gone. Yes, Mary Beth.
Question. So yeah, you're right. We don't know that she survived until we see her on the chopper. So she made it to the chopper. And what does she do? Walk up and be like, yeah, I was with Dutch and them guys. Can you give me a ride? Like, that's kind of weird. But they come, I guess they come and pick up Dutch. So the bomb or the explosion that the alien sets off at the very, very end, what was that? Wasn't a nuke. It was not a nuke. It was some kind of electromagnetic.
Yeah, it was something we don't know what it was. It was some alien explosion.
Dutch was right there. He was right freaking there. He would not have survived. Like,
well, remember he left, and then it took a while for it to explode and then expand.
It
and
was counting down.
I think he jumped down like a ravine or something. So he was so it went out straight, and he was protect. It's a movie.
Guess. You yada.
I think he was wearing this thing. It's kind of like Under Armour, but it's not that brand. I think it's called Plot Armor, where he just survived.
Exactly, because it's how the writers wanted it to be.
We needed it for the movie to happen.
We don't really know the power of that explosion. How it made a big.
They was a long shot
far away, though. You remember from when they initially started, they said it was 10 to 12 miles to where the landing zone was going to be.
Yes.
So you figure they made it a little ways to that. So let's just for the argument say it was 6 miles, and they were already flying towards him. So that explosion probably wasn't as big as you think it was.
I'll give you that they were probably flying in, but if there's electromagnetic, that chopper should have dropped out of the sky.
No, they never. You saw electrical sparks. You didn't say there was EM.
True.
Because EM doesn't have anything visual.
That's true. But for movies, they got to show you something so you.
I think it was just some kind of alien explosive that we don't know what it is, and it doesn't.
It was just kind of weird. All right, so the movie's not about minor.
Suspension of disbelief.
Suspension of disbelief.
I'll watch Ed Wood again.
The movie. Oh, Dr. Alexander says thermobaric. Yeah, maybe. No, because that was still whatever. Anyway, that is
sure, Doc. We'll go with that. Whatever he said.
little hang-ups, but all in all, it's good fun. Let's talk about our amazing cast, because you know what, you guys, in the very beginning, when you see Carl Weathers, I literally was like, Carl, I kind of he has no. We were just kind of getting to know him again on Mandalorian, and he was slated to direct a whole bunch of Star Wars stuff on the episodic television series, not just Mandalorian, a bunch of them. And he's passed, and so none of that will come to pass. And it was good to see him young and beautiful and in his prime, right off of, not really right off of Rocky, but reasonably past
about off Rocky, yeah.
Yeah, just good to see him. I always enjoyed Carl Weathers, and he did do a lot of directing in his years, a lot of good stuff. So yeah, it was just fun and good to see him again, see him young and beautiful again.
So I have 2 fun facts about Carl Weathers with this movie specifically. One, he was sent to audition for Rocky before he'd ever heard of Predator, but when he got to the audition for Rocky, he actually signed Predator before he signed Rocky. They went on to do because he went into the audition, and the producer I can't remember his name at this point, but the producer that did the audition for him said, "Okay, I know you're here for Rocky, and that's great, and I'd love to see your audition, but you just seem like a perfect fit for this horror jungle film I've got, and I just need you on that. So can we just do like a double thing here today?" So he actually signed for Predator before he started filming for Rocky, went on to Rocky, developed this like reputation for himself. And then when he got on to Predator, he knew that not only would he have been in a film up against Stallone, he's now in a film acting chops wise anyways, up against Arnie. So he started weight training. And when they got on location to set, Arnie had this huge gym shipped in from somewhere. I can't remember where he had it shipped in from. He had a bunch of gym equipment shipped in to the hotel they were staying at so they could turn the ballroom into their specialized kind of boot camp for this film. And Carl Weathers would go down at 3:00 in the morning and work out for 2 extra hours, leave the room, let the other guys come in at 5 a.m., like the lazy bits they are, I guess, and just walked in and was like, "Yep, God just gave me this. I don't work for this. I haven't been up since 2:00 this morning."
So interesting story about talking about working out. And the wardrobe department told Jesse Ventura that his arms, when they did the costuming, was bigger than Arnold Schwarzenegger, which he was quite proud of.
Another thing I hate Jesse for.
To the point where he went to Arnold and said, "I'll bet you my arms are bigger than yours," because he thought he had already known this, and he bet him a bottle of champagne. What he didn't know was that Arnold had gone ahead of him to the wardrobe department to tell him
they're both pricks.
To tell him that his arms were bigger, knowing that they weren't.
Yeah. So Arnold's arms were more than an inch bigger.
I find it hard to believe that he even bought that, because Arnold was pretty damn cut.
Arnold's massive.
He was big boy.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a funny thing. So there you go, Mary Beth. He got back at him. That, I guess, if you
he did. Arnold. If you ever watched that bodybuilding documentary that showed Arnold back in the day when he was still doing this,
I was just gonna say, that documentary is wild.
Yeah, he's. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, like I'm telling you, this movie was hosed down with testosterone. The other prick on the movie, Sonny Landham. They had to hire a bodyguard. Not to protect Sonny, but to protect the rest of the cast and crew from Sonny, who was a drinker and a brawler and would get into it with him.
Like, why? Why did we need somebody so problematic on set? Just cast somebody.
The insurance company was like, "Don't hire him," and then when they insisted on hiring him, they're like, "All right, get a bodyguard for him." Like, put a leash on him. Like, that's why I said this movie was hosed down with testosterone. How they all made it through without
all of Arnold's movies are hosed down. I mean, that's like that of the 80s.
But he's professional. Like, once he settled down, he's professional on set. He knows his line.
I mean, I thought you mean just the whole thing away. It was all the guns and the muscles popping
cigar smoking
the cigar smoking.
I mean, that's always Arnold. I mean, when the cameras aren't rolling, these guys were pricks. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I thought you meant the movie was just kind of more geared towards men, which it probably was.
It is. That's true. That is true. It is. Now let's talk about that. Speaking of men, let's talk about that Gatling gun, which is usually mounted.
One of the first times you saw a minigun.
Yeah,
it's actually called a minigun in a movie. So I think it's one of the first movies we ever saw one.
Yeah,
like that.
It's not mounted to it.
Yeah.
And Jesse was very, very proud of that. Very proud that he got to hold that thing. He's not the only character. I think
it's a badass weapon. No question about it. It's not something you want to be on the receiving end of.
No.
No. And they think it was quite a spectacle on set to see.
Although it did kind of. These guys are supposed to be professionals. In that scene where he starts, firing the thing because he saw the predator, and they all just start shooting randomly into the woods, like not knowing what the hell they're talking about.
Behind that scene.
There's I'm like, that's not very professional soldiering. I mean,
it's not, but the director deliberately chose to do that because the studio was like, yeah, we need to make it more guns, and we need to make it, and they were saying like it needs to be almost like pornographic guns, and so the director McTiernan was like, let's just have them all stand in line and just freaking fire
every piece of ammo we had with us, just shoot get rid of it all in one scene.
Yeah, and he thought it wouldn't make the final cut. He's like, it was just nope, they loved it. Put it in the movie. It was so realistic.
Although it was the important part of the scene was that it did show that the predator could be wounded.
They did hurt him. They got him. He bled.
Yeah, so they did hit him.
Sure.
So that they at least shows that he was mortal in the sense that our weapons could kill him.
Yeah.
You know, that's because Arnold says if it bleeds, we can kill it.
Yeah.
You know, it just bleeds Xylem stick stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. The blood's super easy. Anyone can do it. Go get glow sticks. That's all it is.
That's all it is.
Crack them open.
Hell, we used to do that. We used to do that at Halloween on ourselves, you know, because all that stuff is non-toxic.
You know what's interesting about the debate versus practical effects and CGI? For anybody that's talked film with me, I'm 99% on the side of practical effects. You use CGI to touch it up, but it shouldn't be full green screen. However, Predator's probably the only franchise where I'll kind of disagree with that. In this film, we do see the Predator costume full practical. But the thing is that it's really hard to act through 200 pounds of costume in a 90-degree weather. So you don't get nearly as much personality or attitude or character out of the Predator that you would in, say, AVP. Like Scar, our only named Predator, if I'm not mistaken, is the one with the most character because he is done a lot. He is practical, but he's also very CGI. They didn't have all the extenuating things that really weigh them down, and it gives them more ability to kind of act through it. I will give the actor of this film props, though, and the special effects that they did do. Showing his figure to, I think it was Jesse before Jesse dies. He didn't have to show his form, but he did it as kind of a haha, I got you. Yeah. I don't care if you know what I look like, if you're dead in the next 2 minutes. So that kind of sass, really good on him for that's a practice.
I agree with you there. That's Kevin Peter Hall. Kevin Peter Hall was 7'2". He replaced Jean-Claude Van Damme, because Jean-Claude Van Damme was 5'9", and since Arnold's 6'2", Jesse Ventura is 6 something. The other guys are all in the 6 foot range. They needed someone to be intimidating to them, so they got.
It kind of implied that he was significantly bigger than, because he picks Arnold up pretty high off.
Yes, yeah, but the boots. I mean, there's boots, and yes, they make it look like he's even bigger than that. But yeah, no, the actor himself is 7'2". But Alex, you're absolutely right. The actor did an amazing job giving this thing as much personality as he could. With what he was working with his whole face covered and everything. He does give you some personality. He does create, because if he just was walking around the woods, we wouldn't be afraid of him. You know what I mean? He brought it. So yeah, he did an amazing job. He's no longer with us. He did pass kind of not surely, but a little bit after that he did go. So
did not know that.
So he also played Harry and Harry and the Hendersons.
So this was actually shot in Mexico. I actually went years ago. I was down in what they call the Mexican Riviera, which is
don't drink the water.
Which is the West Coast.
I found out on set too.
Near Puerto Vallarta. So I'd been down there, and there was a bus tour, and they showed, this is where they shot Predator, and then the only thing there was a lot of jungle, and I think what was left of one of the champas. But when they shot this, apparently, especially the night scenes, it was very cold.
Yeah.
In fact, Arnold was almost going hypothermic. They were trying to keep him cold because remember he was covered in the mud scene.
Especially with the mud.
It was actually clay that they, like pottery clay that they covered him in, and he was freezing. Literally, they were giving him schnapps and stuff, which didn't help; it just made him drunk. So So yeah, they had a real problem with the conditions that they were shooting. You think it's a jungle; it's going to be hot, which normally it would be. I don't know why it was so cold, even Mexico.
Sometimes it was hot, sometimes it was cold. It sounded like it was a very rough.
Yeah, it was very rough on everybody. They had to deal with leeches, and the scorpions were real, and all that.
And
stuff.
snakes. I think they did find snakes.
Yeah, there was quite. They were in the jungle. I mean, it really is a jungle. So.
And as I just was joking, don't drink the water. Some did, and yes, some people.
Oh yeah, you get Montezuma's revenge. You don't want to do that. So.
Also, one of the cast members got over 100 red ant bites to the point where he was running through the jungle, ripping his clothes off, just running butt naked, trying to get to the only water tank they had for the cast.
Let me tell you something about fire ants.
Shane Black.
Fire ants are evil.
I think so,
They
yeah.
have a lot of those in Florida, and what would happen with them is, say you're doing gardening or you step in an ant pile, you don't even realize it because they're tiny. They crawl up your leg till they're like almost like all up your body, and then they like send out some kind of psychic signal. They go, bite now.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. I think
And
it's
they all start biting you, and then you're like, why are these all over me? And I'm just finding out about it
Yeah.
now. They're evil.
Robin
Oh,
is
I
saying
don't doubt it, especially with a story like that. I don't doubt it. A whole set full of these men hosed down with testosterone, and you've allowed them to see you running and screaming through the jungle, stripping yourself naked. Like, I absolutely believe that 100%.
Yeah. Robin is saying Kevin Peter Hall's the GOAT. Yeah, I absolutely agree. He played Predator
100%.
too. He did the next Predator.
He did, and he also played one of the army men in the helicopter at the end of the movie that takes Yeah.
That's right. We get to see his face.
And if you compare that to any story you've heard about Van Damme on set, like apparently this guy was throwing hissy fit left, right, and center. It's too hot. I can't work with this costume. I can't do this. They tried to redesign the headpiece of the costume. I think it was 2 times before Van Damme got replaced. And apparently Van Damme didn't like the first reconstruction so much that he took this, I think it was a $20,000 piece of equipment, and just smashed it on the ground. And that was the day he was fired from set.
That was the end of that. Kevin,
that was the end of that.
That was the end of that. Everyone describes Kevin as an absolute sweetheart, willing to stay in the costume as long as it took, which must have been extraordinarily difficult. They had that shoulder mounted gun, and the crew decided, let's test it. And something went wrong, and it was meant to fire one at a time, but they all fired at once. And they freaked out. Oh my God, we killed Kevin. So like I'm running up, and they're trying to get his mask off, and like smoke's coming out, and he's like, what happened, guys? They're like, we're sorry. We're sorry. The gun blew. Sorry.
So I was just reading something that Stan Winston was inspired by a painting of a Rastafarian warrior in the producer's office, and that's where he got the inspired concept for the Predator. So there you go.
I mean,
that's why he has what looks like dreadlocks.
Well, that'll work.
I did not know that. I just read that.
The Yautja. So the Predator. Okay, so Alex, you probably know this better than me. As the Predator stories go on, do we find out that they're actually originally from Earth, or what's the story with them?
No, the Earth thing comes in during the Predator, 2018. That's the one, Rizzo, I've been trying to get you to watch because I think you'd really enjoy that movie. They talk a little bit about how the Predator goes around trophy hunting because they're actually looking for the best strengths of the best hunters in all the places they can reach. So they're doing experimentation with how to make their race even better. So eventually down the line, they do find human DNA with a dead predator, and it's just because they've been doing all of these genetic experiments. Insert sci-fi terms here.
So the concept of the Predator is far and wide. There are Predator multiple movies, Predator video games. There was a Batman versus Predator comic, a Superman versus Predator comic, and a Predator killed Archie. Yes, Archie and Jughead and them guys.
Yeah,
that's how widespread this character or these aliens have become.
I think there's something so intriguing about a top hunter, a top predator who runs himself by a system of honor. The reason why I kind of enjoy Predators more than... Sorry?
It's a bit Klingon-esque.
Fair.
Anyway, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say the reason why I feel I enjoy Predator more than I enjoy Alien, even though I do insanely love them both. But I enjoy Predator because there's a system in place. Alien, like xenomorphs, are just run rampant and wild. They just want to destroy everything in sight. We've never really seen a rhyme or reason as to what they do. They just kind of get launched somewhere and they kill everything. Whereas Predator, they have a system of morals, they have a system of tradition, they have a system of honor. They don't kill anybody unarmed, they don't kill anybody lesser than themselves. You see in AVP, there's a man who is armed, but he is dying of some sort of cancer, and the Predator can actually see that in his body and just puts him down, doesn't bother killing him, doesn't keep attacking, just leaves him there and walks. If you're not worthy to fight me, if you're just like a little kid versus a 30-year-old person, that's not a fair fight. So no,
Yeah.
here, you sit, I'm going to go find someone worthy.
They basically address that in this movie because Arnold even says, he's like, it didn't attack you because you weren't armed.
Because you weren't armed. And it wouldn't kill the pregnant girl in, was that P2? I think it was P2. It wouldn't kill the pregnant girl. Down in the subway, it sees this girl. And, anyway,
just jumping over to Alien for a second, though. The Aliens,
that was AV. That was Predator 2.
Yeah, we find out later, not from the original first two movies, but later we find out that the alien, the xenomorph, was basically genetically engineered to be a weapon.
To be a weapon.
That was essentially what it was. It was just there to drop on a planet and wipe everything out. Yeah. So, I mean, that's why I think there's a distinction.
Yeah, exactly.
One is just basically
in my mind, maybe it's because it's Kubrick. In my mind, Alien is like this classic, like it's up in the upper echelon of sci-fi, and Predator is like this popcorn action flick. Like I don't really mentally.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I agree with. It's always been that way.
Yeah, AVP was a bit of a mind blow for me. I was like, why did they pair those two up? That
because everybody always it's the quintessential nerd argument. Which one would win?
Alex just made a really great
point.
Put
the Predator up against the xenomorph. Which one would win? That's where that could guarantee you that was a conversation over some nerds doing it.
That's true. We do it all the time.
It's the
I just have never really thought. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I just never really thought about. Oh yeah, the Predators have like a whole hierarchy and organized society and things going on, whereas the aliens were just, you know.
And it's an interesting concept to pit those two against each other because, like I said, one's just a straight weapon, and one has a whole culture.
Yeah, has a thought
process. And so you see which one can, because the alien, they do imply it has a certain level of intelligence, but essentially it's still more of an animal than an actual sentient type.
Very much so. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's adaptive. It's very observant and a fast learner. It's not that it has its own like
culture.
Society baked into it.
Yeah, it's a good hunter, but it's an animal hunter still.
It's like a velociraptor.
Yeah, it's like a velociraptor.
Girl.
So why in my brain did I put Aliens at such a high echelon yet? Probably because it's Kubrick or.
Well, I think the original movie was a masterpiece. It wasn't Kubrick. It was Yeah,
not Kubrick. What the hell am I saying?
Did it. Same guy that did Blade Runner, right?
Yeah. No, hang on. God damn.
Why am I having?
I'm sorry, guys. If you don't know, Ridley Scott. Sorry, Ridley Scott. I'm so sorry. I don't know why the hell I was saying. If you guys don't know me,
it is the movie, the way it's shot, the way it looks.
My brain doesn't work.
The way they created the feel. I mean, I know. Again, you guys that watched it later, after you've seen a lot of other movies that are more intense, this movie doesn't appear to be as frightening as it was when it came out. You know what I'm saying? It's just like Jaws was terrifying for people when it came out. We watch Jaws now and it's like not that scary, but Alien,
I'm still scared.
The advertising for it was brilliant. Yeah. In space, no one can hear you scream, and all they had was the egg glowing.
Yeah. Robin says there is a hierarchy in Morse. Yeah, kind of, sort of.
Well, I mean, there's a queen.
There's a queen, and there's the eggs, and there's the little face.
So there's I don't know.
To compare the time loss between Jaws and between Alien is not fair, both in film and in science. First of all, we have more study in shark. Sharks actually exist, first and foremost. We have studies on them. We know facts about them. They're more of a known quantity, whereas, mind you, they were a known quantity in Jaws, but it wasn't anywhere near what it is today, and people weren't near as advocating for sharks. Like back then, you make a shark movie where the shark is the monster, you have nobody protesting that and saying that's a bad thing. Nowadays, it's different.
The visceral reaction when people went and saw Jaws was they were terrified, and people did not go swimming that summer. I'm telling you, I
didn't go in
lived
their own
it.
pool
Nobody went in the water that summer because
that they could see
everybody
the
was
bottom
thinking
of. People
Jaws.
didn't go.
It's not, yes, and it was the same thing I think with Alien is that you had these terrifying scenes for us when Tom Skerritt's down in the tunnel and they're like it's right on top of you. You got to see it. That scene was very terrifying at the time if you saw
That
it.
movie is
And
still
again,
scary.
we just my point is we become desensitized to things as movies progress and they become more intense. And I think
when
we
they're
look
on
back,
TV
that's
32
not that
different
scary.
time. Yeah.
I watch Alien now and it's not that scary.
Oh no, I'm still scared by Alien. I'll watch Alien and get scared. But Predator, I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. They just
like that's all I was trying to say with Alien. Alien is still pretty scary. I'll agree with you. I'm sure it's not as scary as it was when people went in theaters and watched this for the first time, but I don't think it lost as much fear as Jaws did because we don't have that known quantity. We still don't know anything about xenomorphs. So when the movie plays for 40, 50 minutes with the unknown, and then when you do get the creature reveal, it's something you've never seen before. We still have never seen a creature like a xenomorph.
Well,
and if we did, we just read it off and called it a xenomorph copy.
Yeah. I mean, it just.
So I think Alien is still quite the horror film for sure.
Alien was way more intense than Jaws was.
Way more intense.
No question about it. That shows you how fast we leapt. I mean, we were talking 5 years. Not even.
Yeah.
It was 79 for Alien. So, that how quickly we jumped. I mean, when even movies like which we've done, which was we did the one with Kurt Russell in the Arctic there. What the heck? Why am I drawing The Thing. That was pretty scary when it came out. It's still kind of a little freaky.
The effects are laughable now, but the psychological game of who's the thing and at the very end, which one of those two is the thing, that's still genius. Genius. That's what it is. Alien has a psychological terror. This
very much so.
Not have quite the same level of psychological terror.
No, this was more straight action.
Which is why I'll be so excited if you guys do end up sticking to the Predator films. I'll be so excited to talk about Predators because I do find that to be very close in the realm to Aliens. For me, just so that nobody attacks me, I do find Aliens up here and Predators still under it. But I do find Predators kind of meets the Alien franchise a little better than the first two installments.
I'm looking at the calendar. We are off again next week because Rizzo's doing Dirt Days. But when we come back, if you want to do AVP or if you want to do another Predator installment, now would be the time. We're on the subject.
Our studio audience.
Studio audience, do you want to keep digging into the world of Predator or do you want to move on to something else?
There's so much more information to share, guys. Just give me the chance to share it.
I'm open to whatever. Obviously, yeah. I have not.
Robin says yes, more Predator.
Well, I knew Robin was going to say that.
Do Prey. Now, Prey is still within the realm of Predator. It is. It is counts as.
I actually would love to do. I would love it if you guys did Prey before you did Predator 2. If you want to jump into AVP, so down for that too. But there's something about watching Prey in between the first Predator and the second one that really kind of like plays at how it pulls in from both films. It's so good. And I know it's like a modern prequel, which is not some people's favorites, but it's so much fun. And the storytelling is so good.
But is that going to mess up? So things get revealed over time. We learn more and more. If we jump and do them out of order, are we going to get messed up in our information? That doesn't matter. What do I care? I don't care.
The thing is, technically, we should have done Prey first. Prey was back in like back at the French Revolution kind of thing. It would have been Prey, Predator, Predator 2. I think Predators and AVP happen around the same time.
Right.
Well, we could figure it out.
Yeah. Predator was the was it the what year is it meant to be?
Before we do sign off, there's
the 1700s, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Somewhere
so
around
if we had done it chronologically, we should have done this one first.
Well, we did it chronologically because this is the first one to come out.
We did it chronologically as they were made.
Yeah.
Chronologically as the story is told.
I'm more of a traditional
We did
style.
it canonically.
If Rizzo made you sit down to watch Star Wars, he'd start you with A New Hope.
Exactly. It's just Star Wars.
Well, before we do sign off, there are a few props I want to give. First and foremost, the use of score versus sound. The fact that you get so many points in the film where the score is completely cut out and you're only left with the sounds of the jungle, it really does. It helps the pacing issues when you have a lot of exposition to give as to why the humans are where they are. You have the score kind of informing you as to how to feel and informing you that you need to get jazzed up because we're about to get into either a very tense scene where we're looking for the predator or we're getting into action. When you get into those big moments, the score cuts completely out and just lets the natural story tell it for you.
Yeah,
and I think that's so key.
That was Silvestri, who's done so much great stuff.
100%.
Brilliant work.
And with all of that work tied in together, if you look on YouTube, there's a video as to how long they just stand there looking in the trees for this movie, and it's obscenely long.
Yeah,
the fact that we get strung along.
That's why I was kind of bummed that we didn't get to see his death scene, because we really stayed with him. We stayed with him for a long time looking in the trees. And that doesn't get paid off.
Fair. Yeah, well, I see your point.
I think the other point they're making is that he didn't obviously stand a chance. You know, he got the thing,
he was realizing
off, threw his gun down, pulls the big knife out, dead.
Yeah, he was realizing he didn't.
I mean, I don't think he realized it, but I think it was a point to make that here was one of the biggest, baddest guys, and he was gone in about 2 seconds.
Yeah, no, I think he knew.
Hand to hand with this guy.
I think he knew he didn't stand a chance. What were the other kudos?
Oh yeah, from the beginning.
I think he was like doing kind of his I'm getting back to my roots kind of a thing, and not going to have a gun, and we're going to do this mano a mano thing as you.
He's the one that says we're all going to die. I think he knew.
Well, maybe, yeah.
I feel like it's one of those things where it's like, if I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out with a bang. I'm at least going to try. I know we're all dead anyways. I'm going to try.
I agree with that. I think that's what his attitude was, but not to just give up.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right, we are past the hour. So I like to keep
guys. Roy is off on Friday. On Sunday, he's going to do a very special episode at 2:00 with Nick Tate, who is one of our all-time favorite guests over there on Roy's sci-fi tie-dye. Phil tomorrow has got the Bill McNulty Politics show at noon, and then on Captain Phil's Planet, Vicky Peterson from the Bangles and John Cowsill from the Cowsills and the Beach Boys. They're performing on Long Island, and they will be with Phil on Captain Phil's Planet at 3 p.m. Rizzo, we're off next week.
We're off next week. I'll be guiding motorcyclists around the area. So
Rizzo's off to ride his motorcycle next week, guys.
I have, wide range of interests. So it's
when
been a very, very busy, tiring summer for me.
Very busy. Yes, you are.
Every week or every other weekend, I'm off doing something.
You're doing something.
I can't actually wait till, and then the weekend after that, Dave Harvey's having his 60th birthday in Pennsylvania where he lives, so I'll be going to that.
Happy birthday, Dave.
Yeah,
so yeah, guys, we will discuss over the next 2 weeks, and hopefully when we come back, there'll be more Predator action for you. We'll see.
Yeah, just as you know, watch the website of Facebook.
Chris says, "Be careful, Rizzo," and I concur. Be careful, Rizzo. On
I agree. Yes,
thank you much. Sliding in sideways. No. Anyway. All right, guys. On that note, I will say good night. We'll see you a couple weeks.
No, we won't see you.
A couple weeks, 2 weeks. Until then, live long and prosper.
Thank you all for being here.
And may the force be with you. And thanks, Alex, of course, for joining us.
Of course.
Bye-bye.
Good night.